Hi, everyone. This is going to be super fun as I read off my phone, as this is from my Locus nominated story, novelette, Color, Heat, and the Wreck of the Argo, which is not in any collection yet. So phones are where it's at. I'm going to try and get through the first section in my slot. If I don't, good thing it's free online, and we'll do the Q&A afterward. Also, I'm so glad I have my glasses. This is, in some senses, a huge mistake. The writing is tiny. Uh, Variations in luminance. Big Edie was a useless piece of shit. Johanna Tell found the most significant relationship of her life on a Saturday afternoon in May, sitting on one of those excruciatingly handmade quilts crafty stay-at-homes used to make out of their precious baby's old clothes, and putting a deep, damp dent in the buttercup-infested lawn of 11 Buckthorn Drive, Ossining, New York. A four-pointed Arkansas Traveler star radiated out around her, each of the four diamond patches so exquisitely nailing the era of the quilter's Pax Materna that Johanna pulled out her Leica and snapped a shot before the homeowners could stop her. The Pretenders, Captain Planet Says No Nukes, Got Milk, and a hypercolor tee subjected, as so many had been, to the indignity of a commercial dryer until it finally gave up the thermochromic ghost, its worn cotton poly blend permanently stuck on a sad, blown-out pink. And Big Edie, in the middle, ugly as all the sins of man, with a box of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition modules on the eastern point of the compass, a mint-condition Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sewer lair playset to the west, a working Laserdisc player up north, and down south, one beefy hard-case Samsonite in executive silver, with a handwritten sign on it promising a complete set of signed 1st edition Danielle Steele hardbacks inside. A steal at $300, suitcase included. Still life with late 80s, early 90s. Johanna loved it. But she only had eyes for Big Edie. The absolute and utter trash beast technological abortion winking up cheekily at her from within a nest of vanished childhoods. She'd driven all the way out into the golden calcified time bubble of the Hudson Valley after the ephemeral promises of an estate sale. The people here had so much money, they never had to grow or change or evolve past the approximate epoch of their children's most precocious years. That's how Johanna had gotten a Hasselblad for $90 and a fake phone number a couple of years ago at a fuck gam gam just get rid of this junk free-for-all in Stony Brook. You just crossed your eyes and hoped the kids were the type to tell everyone who never asked that social media was a disease and didn't sully themselves with Google or eBay. This was clearly the case on that late May Ossining afternoon. The card balanced against Big Edie's case read, "Does not work, $50 OBO." Johanna Tell smiled in the perfect post-processed sun. The EDC-55 ED Beta camcorder retailed for a cool $7,700 in 1987, just over 16 grand in 2015 fun bucks. It could produce over 550 lines of resolution in an age where high definition was barely even a phrase. Automatic iris control, dual 2 to 3 inch precision CCD imaging, Fujinon f1.7 range macro zoom, on-the-fly audio-video editing capable of recording in hi-fi stereo and, most impressively for its time, native video playback. Angular black and matte silver bug-ugly design. The last glorious 13.5 kilogram gasp of the Betamax world, still in its hard case shell, that particular shade of tan that meant serious business for the terminally 80s man. In digital terms, Big Edie was prehistoric. Big Edie was fucking Cretaceous. If there was a camera set up on a tripod to record what happened when the primordial soup stopped being polite and started getting real, Big Edie would have been a top-tier choice for the discerning prosumer. Big Edie was archaeology. Johanna whipped her faded seafoam green hair to one side and hefted that machine corpse onto her dark brown shoulder. She was comically heavy, the weight of a dead world, its concerns long quieted. Johanna Tell, when she was paying attention, when she was happy, in those moments when she was most definitively Johanna, saw down to the deeps of things. It was all she was really good at, in her estimation. She saw that world, the regime ancien, projected onto the back of her skull like a drive-in theater screen. When she was little, she'd sat crisscross applesauce in her mother's lap in a kind of mute blue nirvana, watching a crew send an unmanned submersible in a metal cage down the icy miles to the HMS Titanic. Before her father left them, before they lost the house, before the 100 little fatal cuts of getting from one end of childhood to the other. Long beams of light broke the black water of forgetting and scattered across that ghostly bow and found what had been lost. Impossibly lost. Forever. Johanna had barely been able to breathe. She knew herself then, in that terrifying way you know things when you're small. The warmth of her mother's chest rose and fell behind her, an entire universe of protection and presence. A gentle little prick of the aquamarine pendant she always wore against Johanna's scalp. The familiar smell of pink window, her mother's signature red door knockoff, pulsing off her clavicle. The tinny voice of a rich man floating out of the blue ocean. Later, when the neighborhood kids played games on their unforgivably Spielbergian suburban streets, hollering, "I'm the Incredible Hulk," or "I'm the Pink Ranger," or "I'm Tenderheart Bear," Johanna would call out something nominally culturally appropriate, but whisper the truth to herself, which never changed, no matter the game or the streets. I am the exterior lighting array on Robert Ballard's Argo ROV unit. Johanna put her eye to Big Edie's viewfinder. The black cup pocked gently against her cheekbone. Such a nice feeling, like holding a girl's hand for the first time. She stared into inert darkness. "It only takes these weird old tapes," someone said from outside Edie's warm, lightless innards. A friendly, well-hydrated, nicely brought-up male voice full of solicitude, exhausted, heartbroken, hanging in there, like the orange kitten in the old poster. Johanna didn't look up. She amused herself by picturing the kitten putting its paws on its hips and whistling regretfully through its sharp teeth at the $50 OBO paperweight before them. She suppressed her not very inner snob. "Yes, dear. ED Super Beta 2 and 3 series cassettes. You can still get them. Anywhere between 35 and 50 a pop. You can still get anything if you don't care what it costs. There's one stuck in there. Made a nasty sound when I tried to lever it out. I don't have any others, though. Dad didn't stick with this one for very long. I put his digital cameras around by the hydrangeas. Way better stuff. You want me to show you?" "Does it turn on?" "No." "Well, not unless it's a Tuesday and the moon's in Pisces and you're standing on one foot or some shit. I keep the battery charged up, though. Heard you have to do that or it degrades. I'm Jeff, by the way." "Of course you are. That's what they always name soft orange kittens like you." Johanna's fingers slid down Big Edie's flank and found the raised plastic goose pimple that marked the power button as easily as a practiced accordion is settling onto C major. She pointed the lens at the bereaved child of its former owner and hit the big red square. A fire hose of light white-watered through the generous 1.5-inch black and white viewfinder into her cerebral cortex. In the middle of it stood, not the hang-in-there kitten, but a tall, handsome guy in his late 20s or early 30s. Big, emotive eyes, tennis shorts, dark polo shirt, with a shimmer of beard stubble 6 or 7 hours deep, hair the cut and style of debate team and law school, and firm handshakes and warm decades ahead in a secure center-right Senate seat. A shard of glass punched through his chest. Black monochrome blood sheeted down over his shorts and long, gray, summer-muscled legs. His neck whipped hard to the side like he'd suddenly seen an old girlfriend and was about to call her name. But when he opened his mouth, a jet of dark liquid spurted onto the quilt of his so-loved childhood clothes. It cut across the white block print pretenders in a clean, spattered line. "What's the verdict?" Jeff asked. That voice, like a clean fingernail, cut through Johanna's attention. She yanked her face up off the viewfinder. Jeff's fine blonde eyebrows arched curiously before her in full color, waiting to find out if that old Betamax monster still had juice, if the moon was, in fact, in Pisces. He shoved his hands in the pockets of a paint-splattered pair of jeans. Johanna glanced back down into Big Edie's gullet. It was waiting down there, the death image of silver and ichor. "I like your shirt," she said. The walls of her throat stuck together. Inside the camera, that charcoal polo dripped silent film blood onto his new white tennis shoes. Outside, he wore a slim-cut celery green tee with Newport Folk Festival 2010 stamped across his chest in a faux rustic font. She could look back and forth between them, back and forth, black and white, color, black and white, gray and green and gray, and wet, dripping jet onyx blood. All that faded thermochronicity blazing back onto the scene to react with the not live but definitely Memorex heat death of Jeff from Ossining. Big Edie went down for the count. The image guttered out like a pilot light. A sound both grinding and whining shook through her, and she rather ungracefully pieced out. 30? All yours, Jeff grinned. He took Johanna Tell's money and strode off across the mown lawn through the labyrinth of his late father's obsessions, the sun on his shoulders as though it would never leave him. And the rest of that is at Strange Horizons.